The doubt begins to settle in. G2 now on blue side. We'll see what they can do.
Always love to see me some cosplay as we get into the draft. Game number 3, 1-1, dead even. Gwen, Ari, still not going to see that even with the Vi taken away. Nothing too shocking there. TF going to remain high on the ban list as well. And with Fearless, we've already seen, this is kind of when things start getting weird. This is when the comfort picks slowly no longer available. And the Talia as a final takeaway, I think, very solid. Even with Vi and Zinza already gone, I think the pick just offers so much. And that is a B1 Victor to come through here for Caps.
The first time we've seen Victor at MSI thus far. Of course, the 16th game G2 have already played on this stage. Only the 3rd for Gen.G. But not necessarily the proactive playmaker that we've seen in a lot of G2's most successful moments. Perhaps a pivot from the previous philosophy, looking to enable another member as Caps forced to blind pick against Chovy, and they give away a powerful combination. Reliable engage for Duro once again. We saw what the Alistair could do. So much more impactful than the Braum, and this time the Nautilus to follow.
And the big thing is that Braum is gone. That's one of the picks you always see into it. You can also look for maybe a lane combined with Renata. That's been another very successful angle, but the Ezreal gets locked in. I don't think that's what we're going to be seeing. Is that Hansama is going to be playing for safety. A lot of poke already available here, and the Rel is one of the few engaged supports still left, is going to come through here. But I think that that Nautilus being able to get away with just blinding that, definitely a really powerful thing. When you also, now already with just that pick, have such good setup for MF, which is something we always look towards because, let's be real, I've seen a lot of MFs. A lot of them have not looked so great outside of laning. You know, it feels really good when you're on lane and you're just
the early game.
You're shooting bullets.
You're
making it rain.
Yeah.
Then you get out of lane and you just kind of get
buffed.
Oh boy.
That's a keen Sante. If you've missed it somehow, if you've lived under a rock, this is a pretty good champ for Keen. Something to be feared, most certainly. Something that G2 are going to have to respect. But also, important to note about the Rel, incredible comfort pick for Lebrov. Last year, known sort of as negatively as a Rel merchant, a Rel enthusiast, but does get that comfort pick. See if he can make it work into Ruler and Doro this time around, as topside blind pick for Gen.G. Happy to just have something stable for Keen. Already got to show off on that Rumble.
Yeah, Trundle makes a lot of sense. It's exceptional both into MF as well as into the Xante, taking away a lot of the tankiness and having the ability to just interrupt the ultimate without too much of a hassle. Very valuable as well. Would think that Canyon is going to be looking to pick up a champion here on R4. As we do see the Akali as, like that a lot actually, as a counter pick into the Victor, going to be taken away.
All I'm saying is someone out there said lock in Talon, and I would love to see someone lock in Talon. We might have to make it to game 5.
You know, owners at the tournament could see him do it. With Tarzan for Zed, you know, we got the whole slew of fun jungle picks. I don't know if that what Canyon is going to pick though.
Probably, I don't think we're deep enough in the pool that there's a strong justification.
I'm feeling the Nidalee. Cassante and Nidalee is a combo that Gen.G has played a million times. I wonder if that's going to be the ban away here, or they're going to go for something like the Silas instead, trying to ensure that Caps gets a good matchup.
Banning away the Poppy.
Taken away.
Yeah, of course, trying to limit what Skewmont can bring. Perhaps it could also be Broken Blade. Didn't play that
really good
last year.
Cassante.
MSI, yeah. With the Sundered Sky. And the debate from G2, it's a tricky position to be in. The position they put Gen.G in last time around. What is R4 going to be? It's the Silas taken off the board. Gen.G still with the luxury of counter pick. Can go for one of the higher prior jungles or dig deeper into Canyon's champion pool.
Yeah, basically 2 options there. Either you pick the counter pick for Chovy, but he has been known to go for really, really crazy stuff. Maybe with this though, could just be Orianna and like a Neferi. Jarvan, I think we could see as well. Doesn't feel great into Ezreal, but does feel really good into the Victor. Ability to just lock him down, guaranteed. And Jarvan, combined with MF, I think is something that always you're going to be generally be feeling pretty good about. A classic ball delivery system as well.
Definitely really solid combo tools on the side of Gen.G if they can find those multi-man ultimates. It was just earlier in the tournament that we saw this MF used incredibly efficiently by BLG. Able to find those full channel ultimates for the MF. But now the Gnar, relatively safe. Obviously can fall apart very quickly. Cassante finds a way to get kill pressure, finds a way to set you up against a wall past that level 6, but some decent tools for G2. Initial engage of Labrov, potential Gnar follow-up. Doesn't feel quite as synergistic as it did before. But now it's them locking in the J4, and what you said about the lockup onto the Victor just as true for the MF and the Orianna. G2 looking to assemble a little combo of their own.
Yeah, like that a lot. You also have the combo with Gnar, right? Being able to set up for him, get big ultimates. Same for the Victor. And that's not the most orthodox ball delivery system, but it's one that we've seen Canyon obviously have incredible performances on. Was banned in the previous game as well.
And how many times today did we watch back that flank where he just comes around the Baron pit and gets the 4-man kick? I mean, confidence, I think, to lock it in here. Obviously, Jarvan, all of the damage is in that EQ. If he whiffs even one, the jungle duel is so easy for Canyon. But a champion that we've always said scales with player skill. Well, Canyon, certainly one of the best there is. See what he can do in this early game.
As we take a look at the draft as a whole here, I think G2, when it comes to the team fighting, it feels somewhat reminiscent of what we saw in the previous game, where I think that the tools are there, but there are some prerequisites when it comes to spikes, right? Again, we need to really see some items for this Victor. Ezreal, I think his one spike is fine, but it's not nearly as strong as in the map, right? There's a reason why this pick has been highly prioritized. It's because very early on, you're able to get control, get that mid wave, get that burst going, while also being really impervious with the strut, as well as the shield from generally that BTS. Pick Teemo, please.
Okay, well that's just too adorable. Now you have to.
It's fine, we get to game 5.
Someone has to pick Teemo.
R5 Teemo, baby.
Only one person can do it. The other team's gonna be bad people. They don't do it. Pressure's on, boys. You thought it was the trophy. Really? You have to worry about disappointing that adorable little girl. Now we can calm down, though. I don't think anything's gonna happen in the first few levels. But with Jarvan and Lee Sin in the server, in the game, there's always that potential for early action as Canyon spotted out there.
Thorough. I'm going to go for anything crazy. So we do see Hansam also going for the barrier. And Gen.G with the Orianna ball just gets to scout out some of these waves. We have the ward on red buff, ward on blue buff, respectively, for Gen.G. So both junglers going to have a pretty decent idea of where their opponent is going. Now Lee, when it comes to damage and early skirmishes in particular, obviously is a complete menace to deal with. Really hard to win any early 2v2s, any early 3v3s. The mobility in jungle fights is crazy. When it comes to the ganking power, though, you take Jarvan. I think any day of the week, that flag and drag starting level 2 could see a little cheese gank if they want to go for that.
Not surprising to see Canyon start on the top side exactly because of what you said. The one lane that he has reliable setup in is the bottom lane, but perhaps instead looking to leverage the level 2 spike. Does have vision.
You win the
on
1v1.
Skewmont. You absolutely do. Oh, he's so low. Okay.
Ooh.
Feels like a bit of divine intervention to keep Skewmont standing there.
But he doesn't have smite. Canyon does.
But it resets. I mean, respect to Skewmont. That was a very confident back the second you see the ward there. Assumes that Canyon has killed, yeah, E level 2, so there it is, or level 1.
Damage is done. Chovy fighting as hard as he can here, and Caps is able to trade back decently, but he just can't fight for Prio this early on against the Orianna. So Canyon just going to go for the Wolves here. Do note, though, that with the Prio that's there for Hansama and Labrov, able to get an early pressure lead, Canyon, I imagine, gonna go base, immediately run towards his bot side. He does win the 1v1 against this Jarvan, but he needs to be careful because if Labrov and Hansama make their way over with the Prio that they have, he could be in trouble.
Full engage, hook missing from Duro. Nice additional damage on a Ruler. They're going to get the cleanse. Labrov not sticking around too long. Positive trade to the G2 bottom lane, looking to keep the pressure up.
And they just want to ensure that they have the opportunity to roam, right? Even if Labrov doesn't actually go over, just threatening is very big as Chovy actually forced it back here. So Caps is going to get the pressure, but it looks like Skewman doesn't want to run the risk. Despite the fact that both his solo lanes have pressure, instead just going to take the loss of his top side, full clear the rest of his own jungle.
And it's a tough situation, right? Because if you want him to leverage that bot lane pressure, he has to risk even more in an unfavorable 1v1. So opts for a pretty conservative route. Canyon gonna get 3 quadrants of the jungle more or less early on. Only the blue buff on the top side from G2 he was not able to take. Skewmon having the crab and may be able to steal another blue buff of his own, but should still be woefully behind in experience as Broken Blade is locked up. Wants to go Mega, but luckily able to hop out to safety.
Ooh, Keen.
Yeah, Keen, level 4. Labrov taking his time. Pushed back into the wall. Tanking tower forced to flash. Just a bit of an awkward moment there. I don't think he expected to be caught by the edge of the Pathmaker, but this is, I mean, this is the thing about K'Sante.
The moment that the Q doesn't actually work out, you can't go in with the W, but Labrov gets dragged back into the turret, and that's a big deal because what happened was obviously Gen.G again going for this swap, immediately having Ruler and Duro show on top side, which for Broken Blade again is going to be one of those situations where as Dinar you're not happy, you want to be in that 1v1, want to try and use that range advantage, but in the 1v2, especially as Mininar, you do not have any control of this wave.
So much credit to Gen.G as they find yet another hook here, but their lane assignments have been solid in both Game 2 and Game 3. G2 consistently put in this position where they can't find optimal lane matchups as Skewmon starts to walk forward into Ruler, but again, flag and drag is all your damage. Martial cadence, a little bit more to follow, but
yeah, I think just trying to buy speed. With the wave that big, there's just no way as Hans. Okay.
Over the wall. That looks a lot different if level 6 is there for Keen as Gen.G refused to allow the mini exit. Duro quick flash over the wall looking for the setup. Gromp there to maybe body block the Sonic Wave. Labrov trying to get tricky. He knows if the Q hits, he's dead.
He lives!
Ticking.
Oh!
Flash!
Woo!
Labrov!
Not even close, baby!
For G2, it's, I mean, the silver lining on a gray cloud. Same with the Q that missed earlier for Skewmont. Q Smite gonna get the objective. Broken Blade down a bit in experience, but about to turn Mega. Keen immediately backing up.
A lot of punching back and forth here in this early game, but them not getting the kill was actually a big deal because Gen.G invested pretty heavily towards that, giving up a decent amount of laning pressure that they've been relying on thus far. So Labrov not going down there, and I think Gen.G really did think that he was already dead. Felt like they could have probably pumped a little bit more damage. But the shield for Labrov keeping him alive there. Big win for G2.
To be fair, I thought he was dead too. I was,
well, I mean, wheeled it.
Just about 100% sure. Not quite though, as Hansama trying to keep pressure on the top side. Duro playing incredibly aggressively in this Game 3, not hesitating to burn the flash. Skeen now taking over to level 6, puts Broken Blade in an awkward position. Gnar, yes, he's that ranged champion, but he's so short range early, so it makes it easy for Keen. Not quite able to get the Q3. Duro, it's a little aggressive on the top side, but there's no immediate fault from Ruler. Wants to clear out the rest of those creeps. Broken Blade forced now to recall. And in the meantime, Canyon staying ahead only by a single camp, but so much aggressive play from Gen.G has really shut down Skewmon's ability to interact with the map at all on Jarvan. Champion who needs to get it done as Labrov finds the Shattering Strike, Aftershock proc, so mitigates the follow-up damage. Not much of a return from Gen.G, but for a brief moment they have some pressure on the top side.
As long as Hans isn't friend, particularly pre-first item spike for Ruler, see that G2 bot lane able to consistently fight. And in game number 2, I think G2 definitely went a little bit too crazy as Ruler. Oh! Okay. Ow.
Trying to look at the knockup back in. Duro ignited. Hansama continuing to step up, but honestly, Ruler's doing a lot more damage back.
Look at Jarvan.
Rain. Skewmont moving through.
Oh, Canyon's here too.
Level 6 Lee Sin. Takes his time, backsteps, EQ through. Canyon not going for anything too stylish. Remember, he already invaded. He already slowed down Skewmont. Denied camps, is ahead in XP. The Jarvan, the champion that really needs to get these ganks. Hasn't been able to find anything, but Canyon may have just found the 1v1. Skewmont most likely forced to EQ out. Instead, flashing away. And this is brutal from Gen.G. It doesn't look like much. It's only a 500 gold lead, but they're just shutting down all the avenues of attack that G2's composition can bring to bear.
Well, the big thing is, again, G2 is always left responding, right? So it's Gen.G going for these aggressive plays, pushing out a wave, and as you snowball 3 minions every single wave, it slowly becomes these big leads, something that Gen.G have really relied on. And no kills have gone over yet the gold lead keeps on growing. As for now, G2, again, the thing I want to see them improve from game number 1 is do not fall for these early fights. I do think you have a little bit more power with the Jarvan, as well as the Ezreal, but you need to be very, very careful playing into that, playing into the Nautilus and the Lee. That 3-man unit has so much burst available as Duro looking for another play.
X-Flash, waiting. It's the auto, hook back, just on the edge of tower range. Hansama living for an extra second here. Ruler, full channel in the ult, but it's Canyon on the way in. Hansama, there's no way out of this one. Ulti across, trying to get something back. Canyon just kicks him into the wall, knocks him down. First blood for the side of Gen.G.
And there, Duro, again over the wall, finding a big play, sets it up, and Hans, because of that, doesn't have the ability to even thin out the wave. So Canyon can just walk in. And I've seen many of Canyon's teams play for him, but the fact that he's on Lee Sin of all champions, this isn't generally a champion that you see go for farm. The cross map is good, the dragon gets taken, and G2 do keep control of that 100% first dragon rate.
And one of the criticisms that G2 and Gen.G both share with their respective expectations is jungle support synergy, right? Canyon and Duro not always on the same page, some moments of brilliance to be sure, but this game, doing everything together, clear focus. Canyon so close to having 2 more kills, both at the level 2 invade, as well as the previous play where Labrov just barely makes it out. Instead it's a single kill, but still you can see 1.3k gold lead in the previous games. G2 was always able to grab that first Drake, even if they had to concede the grubs. It's just not the case in game 3.
And Caps and Chovy both using the TP. Duro looking for another play. Flash available this time. Caps has his Roa done. I don't know if they have the damage.
Speed tries to sidestep, but the lollipopping is good. Rob still walking forward. Just to return a bit of poke. Q3 onto Keen. Boy throws a house at him, but not so much effect as Labrov did get a bit of vision, bit of info as to where Canyon is. Gives Broken Blade a little bit more license to play aggressive in the mini-Gnar.
Looks like most of the CS lead actually with Keen. On the Keen Sante, also Chovy, decent amount, but I think that is also Caps having to be very mindful of where Canyon is. The threat of this Lee always there. First item now approaching. Early Dragon though, again, going over to G2 does mean that I hope that they kind of relent from what they did in game number 2, because you're again looking at a Rod of Ages. Did finish relatively early, right? We see Caps already with that in his inventory, but on Sama, it's really the 2-item spike that you want to get towards as Ezreal. Both the Triforce as well. There's a transformation to Muramana, because otherwise, into MF, the upfront burst and the DPS just isn't quite there.
Yeah. And as Ruler gets closer to the Bloodthirster.
He's almost mega. Scumon's there as well.
Hoping to find the combo. Q3, mini-Gnar instantly deleted. Out of turret range as well. No chance of a counterpunch.
That's a heartbreaker. Scumon's there! He's looking for an opportunity to keep his teammates safe, but there's just too much burst available. And Broken Blade with Flash Up especially. If you stall for even a second there, Scumon can come in. Could have been a big moment, a big turnaround, but instead, the snowball continues. Canyon now a second kill, top wave. Ruler's able to just shove yet another wave into the turret, and Hans will be able to pick up most of it, but it's these small compounding leads, because now, 12 minutes in, 2k gold lead here for Gen.G as...
It's brutal. G2 are being bled out.
But this time, again, I'm looking, how are these Herald fights going to get played out, and are G2 going to not take the risk of thinking game number 1? Because this time around, I think Gen.G, you don't quite have the same edge, because looking at the front to back of Gen.G, I don't think that ever really falls off. Obviously, MF can struggle, but Orianna, Keen on his Cassante.
Shockwave. Canyon was there, ready to follow up, but just going to be a bit of poke.
Here. Does he want to be?
Rob poking back. Keeping an eye, of course, on the next major objective. You said yourself 2 minutes till that Herald spawns. Bit of vision from the side of G2 now being cleared out by Chovy. And it's a little bit tricky. If you take a look at the bottom of the map, you can see Bloodthirster completed for Ruler. Still opting to go bot lane, but if he wants to go mid, it's pretty impossible to get him out of that lane without more support. In the 1v1, he just heals up any potential poke.
Oh, the gang swat. Caps not going to be found by that Q. Is it a false sense of security play? No. Duro sounding better because Qmont showed on that ward. I think the moment he shows, you know you can't go for that play. But what doesn't work in mid?
Oh, but the boys are here. Duro and Canyon everywhere. Canyon at least has been spotted on the ward. Not clear to me if they saw Duro in the jungle. So Hansama's going to continue to walk up, but this might be the end of him. Luckily for him, recall fully completed by Duro.
It's Ruler. Oh, Labrov, he's here.
Perhaps a Q flash angle, but the poke doesn't want to go for it. Of course,
BT
Ruler
though.
has cleanse.
And this is the problem, is particularly on this one spike, you don't have Triforce yet. And Ruler's going to shrug off this entire amount of damage you were able to do in just a wave as the dragon is imminent. We'll see what the next Drake is going to be.
Keen, Q3 ready to go. Broken Blade forced a double jump there.
2 levels down.
Gen.G are scary, bro. What the heck? It's an oppressive start to the game.
G2, teamfight power is still there, particularly if they're able to get this Mega Gnar to a fight. The problem is he can't get to a fight because the laning pressure just isn't there. Keen is just continuously keeping him on the back foot.
And outside of mid lane where Caps is doing relatively well, staying toe-to-toe in CS, they're just losing in Prio in so many different places. And Ezreal is supposed to be that champion that you can park him mid. He has the ulti, he has that extra range, who can always get you push, but Ruler ahead of schedule with the BT just makes it so much easier for Gen.G.
I really wanted, to comment that, guys, I know everyone always says that Gen.G is boring, but I swear it's not. I'm not being helped by the gameplay here, Dracos. I'm not going to lie.
Maybe for the viewer, but G2 are being tortured right now. I do not think that's very boring. This is excruciating. They're being methodically dismantled. Skewmon hoping to look for an angle here.
Femtech Drake again.
Canyon, forward, Sonic wave in. Skewmon flashes out. Another major playmaking tool gone, and I think they might just have to concede the objective here. They have vision, they have the crab to at least know that it's happening. They saw Lee Sin go over the wall.
It just doesn't matter because Gen.G have already, again, rotated their bot lane towards the top side of the map, right? So now as G2, you're not really in a position to contest this because of the mid lane play. So you are now going to rotate your bot lane back up towards that top lane, at least try and match the pressure, but that means that Keen gets the opportunity. He has TP, by the way, so even if you try to contest her while you're a member down, you don't really get to. And another wave goes into the turret, and that gold lead for Keen is going to keep getting bigger as Gen.G, just a macro masterclass early on, pick up the Rift Herald and give up basically nothing. On the contrary, getting slowly further ahead.
Labrov maybe looks to cancel a recall here, but still really good vision from Gen.G. Can't afford to step too far forward, even with his team there to back him up. And I think one of the terrifying things about this Gen.G lineup is just about anyone on this team can step up and carry. Last game, it felt like it was Ruler, Keen to a certain degree with those great Rumble ultimates. This game, Canyon and Duro really setting the pace as Keen just continues to win out in the 1v1.
And for G2, what I'm looking towards is being able to get the flashes of both Chovy and Ruler. They're the two members that, if you're able to get their flash one way or another, even be it with a hard force play, you at least have the opportunity and use Skewmont's ultimate. Broken Blade has a lot more threat with the Mega Gnar. Caps maybe will be able to actually, once they're locked in, burst them down. But as long as those flashes are available, it is so hard to actually win a team fight. I think there's so much damage on Gen.G. All the carries are obviously sitting on a lead as well. And while it doesn't translate to any huge item finish advantages outside of top lane, it's still, those little moments are going to matter when it comes to every single one of these skirmishes.
I mean, a story of little moments for both sides, right? It's safe to say. As we see even in mid lane, Ruler taking a quick trade, knowing he has the advantage of lifesteal. Hansama firing back with the red buff.
Good amount of damage.
Does more damage with those Sheen procs, but again, every time there's a creep wave, Ruler's just going to heal up that little bit extra. It's Qmont, the one we need to watch.
Flash Force would be so good if you can get Chovy's. But again, Duro is just always where he needs to be.
Oh, the vision is always solid. Chovy might still be in trouble here, but it's such a gamble G2 are kind of forced to make this play because already Broken Blade is conceding on the other side of the map. They're trying to burst through Duro in the meantime. Luckily, he gets the Aftershock down, so it's taking a bit of time from the side of G2. Cataclysm goes in. Knock up there. Skewmon grabs the first. No wave yet to play on. Gen.G, though, respond. They might not get the kill, but they get the tower. And now it's Chovy. Will walk away. I'm getting stone cold from Chovy. Good that G2 get the kill, but conceding the tower, definitely not ideal. And now Canyon, with the Herald he grabs earlier, is set to break mid. Hansama has to be careful, immediately tries to get out. Skewmon isolated on the side. Good damage coming in from Ruler, and down he goes. Oh, Canyon! I don't know if that was a misclick or if that was intentional, because if that was intentional, that was insanely BM. Canyon either styling or misstepping, but it doesn't matter, because either way he got the kill, and he's just riding off into the night like a beautiful bandit!
I don't know what's worse, if that was an accident or a purpose. Dracos! As bot lane turret falls, mid lane disaster, as the map breaks open, and Canyon is just styling on
What do
them.
you even say? It's a double limb bracket, but still he's styling like it's a regular season game. I don't think he gets to keep his driver's license, for what it's worth, though, as a side note. And I think that's the only criticism I have for Canyon in this game.
And now all outer turrets are down. The gold lead increased to 5.5k. And Gen.G going to be looking towards the Chemtech. And as mentioned, there are some games where I think Chemtech gets more value. In this scenario, with the amount of shielding, lifesteal, and a Cassante.
And again, I don't love this metaphor, but it's apt. It's the frog in the pot of water that's slowly heating up. And I think G2 know that water is boiling now. The goal discrepancy feels insurmountable from a team that has just been surgical in their precision in this game. Skewmon looking for an angle. Again, the combo, you highlighted it so many times. The second item around the corner for Hans.
Well, if they can get on top of two of the members, there's still an angle. I don't know if they spot a Keen. We see some pings. I don't think they know, but now they for sure do.
Flag and drink. Skewmon a little bit awkward now. Tansama, who's been caught out. Ulti coming through for Keen. He tries to E, but he's still caught up. Keen on the chase. CC there. He's a bit squishier now, and G2 are trying to fire back. Keen overeager, but Ruler finds them in the choke. Not as much damage as I thought it'd be. Chunks them out. Canyon ready to go. Sonic Wave hits. Keen already retreating. Still has the TP, might not have the all-up, but might not need it
as well. Yeah, they can't fight this. There's no shot. They really needed to get the pick onto Keen there, but the rest of the team is ready.
Duro waiting over the wall just to make sure they're not risking the 50-50, although Broken Blade.
And I really want to highlight here, again, we talk about what do you need to do if you're G2. Obviously, I think when it comes to the item spikes, you're always going to be a little on the back foot. But first, let's take another look at this play, because this was kind of insane. When Canyon is there, I just don't think you can go for a play, right? Canyon's own Hans, so Ruler isn't even remotely threatened. And then he goes for the Q. I think, I'm now looking at it, he wanted to get the execute damage, and then as soon as he does, he doesn't actually get the full Q off, because he needs to arrive at his target. But it doesn't matter, because he has the backup as... response as well.
I mean, how are you supposed to react when you see something that disgusting? Like that was a nasty play. As LeBron's been caught out. Canyon finds another alongside Chovy, and it's Caps in the meantime. Otacon backing him up, lowering some of those resistances, but he has to get the hell out. Canyon still going, completely fearless, styling, dashes through, kick back! The mental damage, let alone the physical damage. Canyon just keeps coming. Ruler in the meantime finds the isolated target. It's a shutdown for Hansama, but Chovy responds with a great kill, and Skewmon will die in the meantime. Gen.G losing that game one must have been personal, because they are obliterating G2 now.
Dracos, I want you to cast your mind back to 2019 when Canyon, back then, on Dumb Gaming, got absolutely obliterated by G2. And I had always thought, together with Showmaker by side, I had always thought that Showmaker took that way more personal. I'm not so sure anymore after watching this, as he does go down in the very end, but it's just the skirmishing. Labrov way too far out. I think they want to try and get at least a semblance of control around this Otacon. Maybe look for a Hail Mary play, but they just don't have the, like, Caps doesn't have the items to do anything to Canyon, and neither does Skewmon.
This is also just Lee Sin when you have a lead. Casual, Q in, 2 autos, walk backwards. Just making it look effortless. The mechanics are clean, and of course, does overstep a bit, but...
Well, he does still end up going down, but what they get for it, I don't think they're going to be too bothered. It's actually the snipe from Hans that gets the shutdown, and out of all members, that's the one where you wanted the Skewmon going in on that flag and drag as Ruler just leisurely walks to the right.
Oh. Oh.
That's Ruler. I'm surprised he didn't call for a penna. That's usually what he starts
language,
with.
You know? We know exactly what that meant. Take a look at the Coinbase gold grind. That's a nice split of dollars. Yeah. I don't know how he got so much money from minions. This man has been taking a few waves. A little jungle tax for the 5-1 Lee Sin definitely makes sense. Lebrov trying to hurt Keen, but Keen is just too damn tanky. Again, 23 minutes AK gold lead. G2 praying for a mistake, hoping to find an angle that Gen.G haven't anticipated, but Gen.G just have so much control.
And the 2-item spikes, Ardon is Skewmon.
Goes in. Skewmon doesn't really have another angle, but he whoops to flag and drag out and drops down dead. And G2 no hope now of contesting the Baron when it spawns.
Yeah, if there wasn't...
But it's still a minute away because it's only 23 minutes, so they're just going to go for Otacon.
Yeah, if he got flash out of that, even if he ends up dying, I think it's worth, you know, we're looking at, you need a crazy Baron play. Maybe Skewmon can find his way into the pit, steal it away, because if everything goes according to plan, Gen.G, third item approaching for Chovy. Third item approaching for Keen as well. Broken Blade is still sitting on one, just a full lead, and we have barely talked about it because it's all been about Canyon here in this game number 3.
And Chronicler, I appreciate the perspective from G2, what you can hold on to hope for, but...
Well, I gotta try, okay? I'm a glass half full kind of guy.
I respect that. I respect your optimism.
And no matter what, and some might call that bordering on delusional, that's okay. You know, you gotta...
Heard it from Shock. Sometimes you need the Delulu.
You gotta find an angle.
Well, your angle,
I'm working on it.
Your angle that you mentioned previously, 2 items for Hans, looks good. Cap's also at 2 items. The problem is, of course...
At this point, he does need, like, 2 more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that option's gone. So we're waiting for 4 items.
Well, maybe just 3. Maybe that cap is enough.
Canyon kicking the fight off. Trying to sidestep. Lebrov, not sure if he wants to throw down the Shattering Strike. If he does, probably an immediate engage as Hans has been caught out on the side. Shifts over the wall, but now it's Keen running down. Good ulti comes in from Ruler. Duro, unfortunately, hooking the wall means that Hansama might be able to escape with his life. Canyon ready to body block.
Oh, the TP.
Chovy isolated on side. Broken Blade, a lot of CC, should just be able to run him down. Flashing over, looks like the pick on the side lane. Shut down for G2.
That's a big pick. TP invested, but you'll take that. Flash used there by Broken Blade, but still, big win. Getting Chovy on the side, maybe it allows you to make at least some moves towards this dragon, but Gen.G unrelenting. Keen, he's just gonna keep on going. No one's answering him.
G2 willing to concede, hoping to find an even fight with Keen. Not in the area, TPing back to mid lane though after knocking down that tier 2. Gen.G holding on to that 7.5k gold lead.
You gotta
G2
try.
no ultis though.
You gotta try.
No ulti on the Victor, ulti on the Ezreal might do a little bit of damage, but they're already being shepherded back into the pit. Ulti goes in from Lebrov just to get a bit of space. Keen in the face of multiple members of G2 is not taking any damage. Broken Blade to the back line. No!
That's free!
Into the wall! Fall from Skewmon onto 2, but Keen again! The Cassante just generating so much space. They finally hit the combo, but it's too damn late. Gen.G more powerful. Finding the angles. Hansama running Keen. Playing greedy, playing aggressive, unafraid. It might cost him his life though. Steps back into Canyon. Canyon flash forward. One more out to get it done. Hoping to find a kick locked up into the tower, but Ruler is here to finish the job. Lebrov knocked down 2 for Ruler. And in the midst of it all, it's Chovy looking to land the death blow, pushing down in the mid lane.
Chovy shows up wondering what happened to the party. He thought he was invited. But Gen.G already cleaned up everything, as this game number 2 was an immense blowout, Dracos.
Game 2 was dominant. Game 3 was a slaughter. Gen.G move on to match point.